Welcome back to the European Challenger Series. We're set up and ready for our last game between Team Dignitas EU and DNL Esports. This is the final game. The winner here will advance to the grand finals of the EU Challenger Series, and from there they just need to win that series and they will be into the LCS.
It's just a little series, little best of five series, just a little series to get into the LCS. You know, no biggie. Yeah. Not. You've only got to go. You got to come
and
here.
They could win.
You got to come here to Berlin, to our studio, play against either Mouse or Gamers 2 on the stage, and then it's easy peasy.
Yeah,
but you know,
LCS.
This series has not been easy if you're a Team Dignitas fan. That is one thing for sure, because even in the game they just won, it was touch and go. It was a tough game for Team Dignitas. A lot cleaner from the early game, but then weird decision makings started creeping in with that Baron. Then they kind of got a little bit fortunate with Denial making similar decisions. It was a long game, so you kind of expect decision making like that to kind of start to creep in. But certainly now, hopefully, both teams have refocused and we'll see a cleaner game 3.
Yeah, that was. I mean, at the very end, it was super smart decision making in from Dignitas. But yeah, throughout the game, there were some places where maybe not quite as good. Denial, though, in that game, that's a difficult game to lose because they had small advances in from Kyrie again. It was very hard for him in the early game to find places, but he still got it in the top lane and bottom lane. He still got catches with the Rengar, but then having that advantage and then not being able to close out the game with that, and eventually getting to the point where they were no longer able to just use their composition. They couldn't just run at you, go for the engage, because constantly the cannon barrages will come down the long range and the kiting will come out from Dig. Getting to the point where you can't use your composition anymore is very frustrating, and in a long game like that, they need to just resettle, and they haven't had long to do that.
It's even more frustrating when you look at how their composition went in game 1. So now you've seen both sides of that coin. You've seen what happens when you crush the early game and get this massive lead. You've also seen what happens when you don't get ahead and how difficult the game is to actually close out from there. I wonder whether we'll see Denial go for exactly the same composition again, because it was available to them in the last game, or whether we'll see Denial change things up. One thing is for certain, Denial will have bans for this game. It only was game 2 because of the delay with Kyrie's connection, so this game they will have bans available. So it could change everything. Yeah. What will it change though, Pulse? What is going to be different? Will we have the same bans from game 1? No. Okay. Nope.
Yeah, ban that Gangplank instantly. That was tearing through Denial the later that game got on. Again. It was very difficult. Yeah, it was very difficult in that laning phase. Elise will be banned out by Dig, so will the Aurelius. Nothing changes from them. Janna and Twisted Fate from game 1. That does leave out the Fizz, but Fizz wasn't picked up last game either from Dignitas, so we'll see. Rengar, okay, banned out from Dignitas, so that will be taken away from Kyrie, so they can't go for that early game play.
So, Gangplank not available. Tobias not available. Will we see Malcolm? Then we've got a full Bilgewater setup. But at this point, no, the Rengar is the key one not being available here. Nidalee is, however, up at this point. That was the ban that has gone away. And Denial do not give Kyrie the Nidalee.
No, I don't know if this is a denial from Obvious to take it away from him and then put him on Nidalee? Right,
but no, you know Obvious is a Gragas player.
Yeah.
Into the Gragas Rek'Sai matchup is fine.
Yeah.
He's played that matchup like a million times.
I don't know.
I mean, you wouldn't pick the Nidalee so much here because it's a slightly trickier matchup, ever so slightly. You're splitting hairs over that one, but Obvious is the kind of player that is going to pick an engage-style jungler like a Gragas.
Yeah, and there you go. There's the Gragas from Obvious. I mean, we've seen him play it time and time again. The Rek'Sai pick, it bothers me, Stress.
It bothers you?
Yeah. Anyway, so Sivir will be the first pick as well with Gragas. What do Denial go for from here? There you go. Nice.
There we go.
Yeah, will be the bot lane. They could just bot lane and then look for the solo lanes and wait that out.
Well, Victor is still available.
Or just pick Victor early on. Yeah, they did that 2 games in a row. So
I don't think they need to pick Victor right here.
But they could.
They got a lot of options here. They know Team Dignitas have been now looking to counter mid lane. I guess it's not exactly too much to write home about. It was 1 game counter picking top lane, 1 game to counter pick mid lane. However, the blind pick Gangplank is not available for them. It's going to be the bot lane locked in by Denial.
Okay, so there's the Brom, there's the Corki again for Warlight, moving away from the Cogmore. Just going back to basics, I guess. Brom, we've seen that again. And now we are just waiting for Dig. Okay, Sencooks locks in the Victor. So he takes that one away from Denial, but interesting he goes to Victor as his priority choice as mid lane. But again, they leave the counter pick for top lane, unless they pick it here.
Yes, I like this pick though. Not only is it a Sencooks pick, it takes it away from CosQ. Okay, they now don't get the counter pick on mid lane, but what it does allow them to do is open up for a carry top laner. Yeah. Somebody like the Fizz.
A Rumble or
that
Fizz
hasn't been banned. Remember, Fizz was banned in game 1. That's what the Gangplank now is substituted out for. That gives the wave clear to allow you to play a carry like a Fizz, like something like a Hecarim that we have seen time and time again. So that is now an option for Team Dignitas, depending on the matchup that they, in fact, will get from Denial here.
Yeah, wonder where's Summoners, though. Tell me something.
That's either a Fizz or a Hecarim.
Yes.
That's what the Summoners are saying right now. And this is a very similar setup to the last time for Team Dignitas. When you look at the Sivir, the Alistair, and the jungle, all want to go in. Victor wants to as well at this point, in the sense that he'll benefit from the movement speed, get that laser down, get the Chaos Storm, blow somebody up. Who did Denial round their composition out with? They're looking for mid lane here. Those are two mid laners that CosQ has played, both Cassiopeia and Azir. Those look very sharp on both of them. However, Azir, remember, was nerfed.
Okay, so, Rumble.
Rumble for the top lane.
For sure.
And the Cassiopeia. Okay,
all right.
A lot of magic damage on this composition.
This is also back to basics for pretty much everyone on Denial.
Right.
CosQ on Cassiopeia, Warlight on Corki, the Rumble, which Wicked's played every single game. Like, this is comfort right here for Denial.
For sure. And it's a composition that is looking for a mid game. Cassiopeia obviously wants to scale later, but it still is going to be mixed in there with the Equalizer, with the Corki. Everything about Denial, as you said, very familiar to what they want to play.
Yeah, so we're looking at this final pick in from Team Dignitas EU. We were thinking of the Rumble, the Fizz, which is what Wonderware's picked historically as his carrier top laners. And with Rumble being off the board, Fizz would make sense. He was banned in game 1. It was taken away from him. Didn't take it for the last game as Gangplank was open. He picked Gangplank and had a terror of a game. And we'll see what this final pick is. I would like to Fizz from Wonderware. I think it would fit very nicely in here. Would give him that carry and would have an okay lane against Rumble as well.
Yeah, however, if there is a lane swap setup, might be a tough one for the Fizz. That typically is one way of dealing with it. And we know that Team Dignitas, when in a lane swap, tend not to prioritize giving a lot of gold over to Wonderware. They do struggle in that essence. That is one of the situations where earlier into the split we did see less focus going on to Wonderware. In general, he doesn't get a whole bunch of help from his team. So that's something we're going to have to kind of keep a track of throughout this game. But the setup is pretty straightforward for Team Dignitas. Fizz 1v1s over in the side lane. The rest of the team have a lot of engage and wave clear. So in theory, and disengage when you tie in Gregus, in theory, Denial should struggle to get onto Team Dignitas without any real consistent hard engage.
Yeah.
All you've got is the knockup from Kyrie, if you can get there. The ult flash from CosQ, if you know you've got the numbers advantage, or the Braum ult, which is difficult to use as real consistent hard engage.
Yeah, it's all difficult to engage, honestly. It's all situational, also dependent as well on having flash, which can be difficult. And when you have consistent disengage from Sivir, Alistair, Gragas, even Victor as well from his gravity field, and Wonderware by himself can just peace out. So, yeah. Pretty hard to get on top of.
We're in a similar situation to last game where there's going to become a point where nobody on Denial can deal with Wonderware, so they have to deal with it by bringing him to the fight. However, we saw that Denial ultimately would be punished by that with that final fight, with Wonderware getting a great flank on Gangplank. If he can do the same again, could end up going Team Dignitas' way, but certainly there is so much on the line in now what is essentially a best of one.
Yeah. And this is difficult for both of the teams, even mentally coming into this game. But remember, for the very last time today, jump on Twitter, tweet at LOL Esports using those hashtags DNL win or DEU win. I'll be seeing on what you think in game. Now, you kind of went from one side to the other side as we went through this series. Went from Denial to Dig, but
50-50 for game 3.
Yeah. 50-50. Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly 50-50.
That's where I'm sitting at right now. I actually don't know which team will win this one, but whoever does win will go into the grand finals. The loser will have to go into the third place match, which will be next week in another best of 3 against the loser from tomorrow. Either way, we are into this game. The final one for today, and it's best of 3 between DNL Esports and Team Dignitas EU.
So Denial...
Oh, Who?
Guess who?
Who?
Who are you?
Guess who?
Who's
that Pokemon?
But, you know, Denial in these games have generally been getting ahead. Team Dignitas in the very early game managed to get themselves rolling with the first blood in game 2, but then Denial answered with the kills. In both games, they've had a minor gold lead early on and have been able to transition it into somewhat of a bigger lead. Team Dignitas did fight back in the last game, but certainly we haven't seen Team Dignitas come out of the gate swinging and keep swinging.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah, swinging and then missing and then swinging again. That's how the last game went.
The buzzard's circling.
Well, if Chumbawamba taught me anything, you get knocked down and you get up again. So that certainly seems to be the motto for Team Dignitas in this series.
Nice. Oh, better duck. Better just sidestep. The boomerang blade comes out. It means that the ward can come down from Woolite and just get that early vision. Do have a recall from Nisbet and Cobby.
Sorry, I realized there are probably quite a few people watching that have no idea from 90s pop music. Like,
I mean that's a pretty common one.
I guess so, but I just
I got it, Stress.
I had an existential... No, okay, if you got it, then
Yeah.
a lot of people will get it. But I just had an existential crisis for a moment there as we headed into this game. But lane swaps ahoy. It looks like it's Dig that are actually initiating this one. So that's an interesting one. I wonder whether they're actually just trying to preempt it by swapping around. Alistair Sivir doesn't really scream to me like they want to avoid the standard lane setup. But Team Dignitas didn't really get an opportunity to ward for the lane swap either.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you were saying in Champions Select Stress. I mean, the lane that doesn't want the 1v2 is the Fizz, honestly. Heaver's going to jump in here, see if he can disrupt Obvious and Wonderwear. He's not going to do too much here.
The other point is Rumble's not great in a lane swap as well. But Rumble will have a more consistent effect on the game by utilizing earlier team fights and skirmishes. Once he's level 6, once he has his ultimate, it's a lot easier for Rumble to actually be involved in the game than a Fizz who's going to rely on farming to a Trinity Force, then looking for some slight skirmishes. Wicked gets involved in this game by getting headbutted, and will now have to recall again. So he's now delayed significantly on actually getting to the lane. And he's actually looking to head bottom lane. So it looks like Denial don't want Wicked in the 1 versus 2 situation at all.
So we get the... Not even a triple push. Okay, he's not even going to the bot lane. He's going to just rejoin with Kyrie to carry on jungling with him. This will mean that DEU will have the 4-man push into the top lane as it's been stacked up by Cobby, and they should be able to take this. I think that's enough minions.
Well, at first they were waiting for him to actually arrive in the lane to then dive him. This means Team Dignitas are just faster to the punch on this. Denial are not in position to capitalize with a dragon, and the tower is going to be way further behind when it comes to actually pushing it down. So Team Dignitas now have the option, if they leave Wonderwear here after bouncing this wave, this puts Wicked in a real rough spot. They have to try and get Wicked some farms somewhere, and you can see that Denial are now trying to get into the enemy jungle, trying to take some of the camps away. Blue buff is there and available for them to steal, but it is going to be Wonderwear that is going to be able to get this whole wave of experience in front of him, whereas Wicked is just going to have to go around the jungle even more.
You said in Champions Select as well in the lane swap that Dignitas typically don't give a whole lot to Wonderwear, but they gave him the red buff and they gave him the lane setup as well.
And here is where the impact of a coach returning may show itself. We had adaptations specifically in North America, actually, when it comes to lane swaps, which is coincidentally where Broken Shard went to coach, in that they were one of the first regions to start adopting just en masse, leaving the top laner to get farm. Europe actually took a little bit to catch up with America when it comes to that situation. And you can see that's what Team Dignitas have done here. And Denial were caught unawares. Team Dignitas now have the turret and now I would imagine the experience advantage by about a third of a level here onto Fizz, and Fizz is able to set this lane up roughly in a position that he wants it. Wicked is going to have a tough time actually getting into this game if they don't look to fight once Wicked is 6.
Yeah, I mean, he's just trying to scrounge farm at this point, and he's still farming the jungle in with his jungle of Kyrie. It's putting him behind as well, actually, just having to babysit him. Now they go for this gank into the top lane, and the mid lane as well. Obvious comes in with the body slam, the flash away from CosQ, and the heal, in fact. So it burns both of those summoners for the movement speed, even on the heal.
And you can see warding out from top lane. Wonderware knows he's just going to back away. They bring Kyrie up to try and assist in this lane swap, and it doesn't result in too much more. You can see now Wonderware goes aggressive as soon as Kyrie has gone. The ward has died, though, after seeing Kyrie leave, so Wonderware does have to play somewhat safer, but will chug his potion and back away for now. But Kyrie is looking for the dive. No flash on this Fizz. Playful Trickster will be available soon, though, and they have to respect the trading damage. He actually just goes aggressive with it.
That is probably not what you want to do in a situation like that. Gets the Ignite down, gets the burst as well onto Wicked, but he's just going to flash out of there. Now in the bot lane, the 2v2 has commenced. Nisbet as well, just get chunked down. Cobby returning with the auto attacks onto both Woolite and Heaver respectively. But yeah, in a die situation, don't use your E first.
That was a really odd E, actually. Like, really strange to see a Fizz.
Are you trying to avoid the knockup?
Yeah, so Kyrie actually dives under the turret and basically baits out the Playful Trickster. I've just rewatched it again on my screen. So Kyrie's movement is actually fairly smart to bait that out first. It wasn't Wonderware going aggressive, so well played by Denial to read that situation well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's hard as a Fizz in that situation because you either get knocked up or you try and preempt the knock up, and then yeah. But in a situation like that, Kyrie doesn't need to preemptively W. He can just click on his target and then knock up whenever. So that's how that one went down. Kyrie and Wicked still farming the jungle by each other because despite that kill onto Wonderware, he's still way far ahead on top of Wicked, especially as he went back and picked up essentially a power spike in the form of the Sheen. So just going into 1v1 is difficult. Obvious is also on the top side of the map. Kyrie probably can't go for a repeat gank because that only worked because they had both flashes.
Yes. At this point, the experience between the two is just about even, but the farm is pretty significantly in favor of Wonderware, as you were alluding to there. Bottom lane has been a fairly quiet affair, but once again, Denial just edging themselves a minor lead down bottom, but it's mid lane that we are focusing on because CosQ, no summoners available for another at least minute and a half to 2 minutes right now. Tempted blue steel out by Obvious, but it's going to be a little bit too late, as Denial will take that one down. So we're about 8 minutes in. Team Dignitas have a tiny lead for themselves despite that first blood, and it all stems from that early tower that Team Dignitas were able to take for themselves.
And the bot lane just taking away that ward. Oh, Dignitas really want that pink ward. And the mini wave is pushing in.
Sengunks even comes down for this one as well.
Gotta get that pink. They got it, so it worked out. Also, Woolite had to return to lane to farm that mini wave as pushing into turrets, so it's actually really well worked by Dig on the timing on that one. Wonderware taking some damage from the Flame Spitter. Obvious is over the wall. Actually saw him out with the Tremor Sense, so didn't want to jump in straight away from Kyrie.
I don't really like that 2v2 there from Team Dignitas if they were to have opted for that. Obvious is not quite level 6. He's actually level 4 right now to Kyrie's level 5. So despite Kyrie going around the jungle with Wicked to begin this one out, Obvious is further behind. You can see it reflected in the CS as well. So no real disengage tool. I'm actually interested to see exactly where Obvious has put his priority in the early game, because he's not been in any lanes, and Kyrie has been out on the map a lot more than Obvious has in this early game.
Yeah, I would have expected Obvious to have just been farming for the entire early phase, honestly, considering he didn't have to babysit Wonderware. Mid lane, though, has literally nothing's happened. They've just been farming just like the last game. 80 farm apiece, pretty much as good as you can get at this point in the game. The tier has been completed by CosQ. Going to be trying to get that one up, that one farmed. Mid lane, again, Sengunks will be heading back here. Has some gold to spend. Obvious. They're sitting in this top lane. Wicked's going to use the ultimate for wave clear again. The wave was actually pushing away from him anyway, so it didn't really matter that he used that. The flash away comes in from both Nisbet and Cobby. Don't think it needed to be used by Nisbet, but definitely Cobby in that situation. So burn 2 flashes and the ultimate in from Sivir.
Yeah, that was a lot used by the Team Dignitas bottom lane. They were looking, yeah, they probably didn't need Nisbet to flash on that one.
Yeah.
It was really weird setup down in that bottom lane, but nevertheless, they do keep themselves alive. But look at the gold, look at the CS difference that has opened up between these two in the bottom lane as 94 CS to 67 translates into about a 300 gold lead between the two. So certainly is once again going in favor of Denial.
I mean, Dignitas' bot lane is probably the most consistent, but Woolite is probably one of the better AD carries that always getting ahead in the early game.
It's interesting because normally, I was taking a look at the stats earlier, normally he actually ends up falling behind on CS. This is a very abstract series for Woolite in the fact that he has been getting ahead. I think it's when you look at the top of the half of the table versus the bottom half of the table, he's tends to be very good at getting ahead of AD carries that are, I guess, rated lower than him. So odd that he's doing it now against one that is supposedly on equal footing. Oh, Wonderware. Ooh, he only uses Q. Doesn't go completely all in. However, Wicked is within range of that Q coming back up and just a Chun the Waters and an Ignite. But Wonderware knew something was up.
Yeah, but he's already used the Playful Trickster. There's the ultimate coming onto Heaver, blocked it away from Wicked there. Wonderware jumping back in, may get the return kill onto Kyrie as the tower shot comes in. Another tower shot onto Wicked is not going to be enough to take him out. So he gets the 1-for-1, but the double assist goes over to Denial.
It does, but this frees up Team Dignitas to do stuff elsewhere on the map with this bottom lane pushing in. They just put 3 people top lane to try and stop Wonderware, and he picked up a kill from it, looking to get closer to that Trinity Force. Bottom lane, they can't quite push through because Corki is a little bit too powerful in front of that minion wave with Phosphorus Bomb for now. So no punish really from Dignitas as Denial to catch out Wonderware in that top lane.
So all of these kills actually kind of hold that fort for a second. Good gravity field in from Senkux. Will instantly get the stun onto Kyrie. Cosq coming in from the sidelines as well. He does have his flash and petrifying gaze, but Senkux has already turned his back to him, so he's going to just walk out of there. But both of those kills in this game so far from Denial have gone right on top of Wicked. So even though he's been behind in farm, he's actually not doing too badly because he's got those 2 kills. Man, I can't even speak Inglando today. Woolite coming in onto Nisbet. He does have the ultimate, but that's not going to last forever. Good gravity field again onto Cosq, this time from Senkux. Blasts him the wave with the explosive cast in from Gragas, but not enough to save Nisbet before he goes down. And now that is perfect timing for the Dragon for Denial.
Yeah, they are going to trade away the Dragon for Wonderware now, trying to just push the wave through in the top lane. Nothing really that Team Dignitas can do about this because Cobby recalled as well. I thought maybe they could have looked to have contested this with how low Kyrie was, but Woolite and Wicked were there and did have a lot of health as well. So Denial opt not to fight for it and just take their first Dragon of the game. So again though, Wonderware is accruing CS in that top lane. We're on the road to that tipping point of where nobody can deal with Fizz.
Yeah. Well, maybe Wicked at this point. He has the double spell pen at the moment, so he's pretty strong.
Haven't quite reached the destination.
He's strong.
It's
no.
We're on
Not
the road.
the final destination for sure. Yeah. Nisbet taking away that ward there. Rift Spirit on the side of Dignitas. And yeah, take a look at some of the other item builds as well. Bot lane, the Trinity Force has been completed from Denial, so they're actually sitting on a pretty nice power spike with the top lane and the AD carry. Smite comes in from Obvious, taking away that blue buff. He either try and chase them down, lands the Winter's Bite, and the rest of the team will be hopping over the wall there. But yeah, if Denial wants to fight, now would definitely be the time. This is one of the better points in the game for them to do so.
The Orchestra of Sweepers. They ring out a different tuned, slightly off-tone chorus.
I wonder actually if one sweeper could have cleared both of those bushes.
I'm pretty sure.
But
they kind of just put them on top of each other. But Denial have been pretty consistent with setting up vision control throughout this entire series. And you know, that's kind of one of the benefits of seeing 3 games all on the same side, is you get to start seeing these patterns of where exactly and when a denial warding, and they're fairly obvious wards being put deep into the enemy jungle, but the frequency of them has been very consistent.
Wonderware with the one-on-one though up against Wicked. Not a whole lot that a Rumble can do in that scenario. Hiva has found them, however, and will be trying to get the concussive blow stun down as Kozq and Kyrie close in from the sidelines. Preyseeker lands, so does a Noxious Blast. Another Winter's Bite, that should be a dead Wonderware. He'll hop over the wall.
Oh, but it goes to Hiva.
Oh, actually worked out really well.
Yeah, because Kozq would have loved that kill.
Yeah.
But not today. Not today, Kozq. So well played by Wonderware to get himself at least out of that situation without giving gold over to one of the carries of Denial, because Kozq is going to need a long time to get into this game. He's farming fairly well, but is sat on that tier in parts of the Abyssal Scepter, so his actual damage output is fairly limited right now, and will be for about another 10 to 15 minutes until he gets, you know, a needlessly large rod item, plus that finished Seraph's Embrace. That's when you'll start seeing the massive amount of damage that we've seen from Kozq's Cassiopeia before.
So we praised these teams for different things. Dignitas for their macro game, how they controlled Dragon and objectives extremely well. Haven't necessarily seen that super prevalent in these games, but DNL has essentially been doing that themselves. Their early Dragon control has been great. They usually just find an advantage and translate that into a Dragon, and generally get the first 2 to 3 in this series. Dignitas are always falling behind in that respect, and DNL have just been playing extremely smart. We also saw them lane swap a lot during the split, and this is the first time we really saw it, but it was instigated this time by Dig, so they're responding well in the sense that they knew what to do in that situation, but it was also kind of fortunate the Wicked picked up those kills.
Yes, I mean, the initial response was a little bit slow to the mark, but Denial actually just kind of regrouped from it and managed to get themselves a slight lead here based on the kills. Tower's still in favor of Dig right now. It's only a small gold lead as Senkux gets a ward. Kyrie got nothing, but that's life sometimes.
That's life. Sometimes the super gets awards, sometimes it doesn't. It's like bobbing for apples. Yeah, like bobbing for wards. Didn't connect it. Warlight and Kyrie in the top lane taking away this tower. We're getting that one down. Now 2 towers over to the 3 of Dignitas EU, but do have Kobe and Nisbet in the bottom lane. Actually didn't have too much of a minion wave, but with Obvious coming in as well, he might be able to get at least some damage onto it. Actually good ultimate from Kyrie, so they won't be able to do that as he void rushes down to the bottom jungle.
However, Team Dignitas were only setting up wards here. It's a little bit of... I mean, considering how many people were bot side for Team Dignitas, that's a little bit of wasted pressure by Denial. They stood up against a Fizz who has less than no wave clear without using his E. I'm intrigued they didn't at least finish shoving that wave in and make it difficult for Wonderware to get back out on the map. Because look, Wonderware's already back out past the halfway mark. He knows he's not under any pressure because the rest of Denial have shown on the deep wards that Team Dignitas established. So Wonderware now forces the recall from Rumble, forces him to come back top lane to defend the inner tower, and relieves all of the damage that Denial did up in that top lane just a mere minute ago.
I'd like to see Dig secure more vision control over this area, because they secured it before, but now's the time where they need to use that vision to secure more vision for Dragon, but they kind of just hang around mid.
But at this point, not only have they got the vision for Dragon, they've got the vision to look to maybe set up a small skirmish before the Dragon, look for a pick, and then get the Dragon from it, rather than just kind of saying, okay, we've got vision behind them, let's just do the Dragon. This is, they're working towards actually getting the pick for it, but at this point, Team Dignitas, they're getting some of their wards cleared out.
Yeah, so Kyrie here, just going to be clearing out this ward. Dragon is on the horizon, will be cleared out here. Nisbet is going to try and get some more vision here, clearing away this pink ward in from Denial. And they still keep control over this Dragon pit. Riftcuttler, I don't think is alive. Unlucky.
Unlucky
Nisbet though. Doesn't quite get caught out. comes in with the Winter's Bite again, just trying to zone each other away from this area. Lots of wards coming in from both teams, trying to set up some of these tunnels as well. Wonderwear is in the top lane, so is Wicked. Both of them have the teleport, but Wicked may just walk down, so he's there just a little bit faster. To do have that channel time on the TP. Doesn't actually look like Dignitas are too interested in this dragon at all. I don't think they can take a tower off it either, so I'm not super sure what they're looking for.
No, that's Denial just taking the dragon away, and I believe we are in a pause actually, as this game looks like we have had a connection issue.
Yeah, on Kyrie.
On Kyrie, so hopefully we'll be able to get the game back. Hopefully it's only a brief pause.
Yeah.
But we are about 20 minutes into the game right now. At this point, the dragon going over, that gives it the second to Denial. Very similar to games 1 and 2 in that sense. Denial have a lead at 20 minutes, like games 1 and 2.
Yes.
They have the dragon lead as well. But
however, when it was in the second dragon kind of phase in game 2, Dignitas still had the gold advantage. In this game, I mean, they're not particularly behind.
Too far behind.
Yeah, they're basically equal. So for future dragons, they should be able to contest. The problem is we paused right at the moment where it's just like, well, what did they do with the fact that they didn't contest the dragon? Are they going to go somewhere else? Are they going to go top lane? Are they going to secure some vision? Because they just straight up decided not to contest it at all.
Right. They are heading for the top lane by the looks of things. So just as a clarity thing, there is a slight delay between the game and with us, which is why you didn't see the pause when it happened, but they are in a pause. That is something to keep in mind. So, I mean, if they can get this top lane, if they can get the tower down, that would be a nice answer. It would be the inner turret. Frees up Wonderwear a lot to get himself out onto the rest of the map and puts a lot of pressure on Wicked's shoulders to actually try somehow to stop Wonderwear, but we've already seen him fail at that.
Yeah, it's also interesting because this was the last pick in from Wonderwear as well with the Fizz. We wanted him on the carry, and so far he's done pretty well with the pick, but has also had some times where he's being caught out, particularly by a lot of focus in from Kyrie. And we do have a replay where we actually want to take a look at that while we're in this pause, just to kind of highlight that. So it is Wonderwear as he just kind of wanders towards his bush and is a little over-aggressive.
Yeah, this is very well worked by Wonderwear here, though, because it's actually, you'd expect him to go onto Wicked here, but Kyrie's the one with the tower aggro to begin this off. So he just lands the Ignite, puts his damage down, knows that Kyrie just doesn't have enough health this early on in the game to tank the tower for that long and get himself out if he's under the pressure from Wonderwear. So well worked.
Yep.
Not having a flash is pretty much a big signal of gank me on a Fizz. So if you can trade 1 for 1, that's actually not that bad.
Yeah, but that was a situation where the earlier flashes had been used by by Denial, so it meant that they couldn't just instantly flash away. It was actually kind of a big deal as well that Hiva blocked the Fizzle, so it landed on him.
Yeah.
Instead of landing onto Wicked, because otherwise that would have been 2 kills. Because he was like super close. That Chum the Water's damage would have actually been enough to pick up that kill as well. So, yeah, worked well by Denial, but they need a little more because yes, they've utilized the Rek'Sai in this game. Again, that was a point we were talking about. There was the first pick instead of like the likes of a Nidalee.
Right.
I think it's been working well. I mean, they've been using it well. I was just a little surprised that he moved away from Rengar onto a pick like Rek'Sai.
Yeah, because Rek'Sai's engage is way... I don't want to say... No, it is more difficult to actually use. Rek'Sai is typically used as a secondary engage champion just because of how reliant it is on actually being on top of the enemy to actually start something off. Whereas Rengar, you're the primary catch. That's how it works. We saw it work well for Denial in Game 1. Now Kyrie kind of has to follow up, which is working okay. 0-1 and 4 currently as we're 20 minutes into this game. It's working well, but how's it going to have an impact the further this game goes on? Fizz is going to become tankier. Alistair is going to become tankier. Gragas as well. You then got to try and get on top of people, try and get the knock-up and get the damage down from Cassiopeia while still trying to peel for her is going to be difficult.
Yeah. It's also going to be difficult for Denial to even think about and engage, like we were talking again in Champion Select, as these team compositions were being constructed. Gragas, Victor, there's so much disengage. We haven't seen much from Cosqu's Cassiopeia, but that's pretty much kind of what we expected anyway. We've seen a lot of Cassiopeia from Cosq, but it's all about scaling up. The difference here is that they paired the Cassiopeia with the Corki over the the warlike special of Tristana, which is just getting to that late game. So they do have a little more punch earlier on into the game, and we were talking earlier in the game about the power spikes and how now that Leandries is being picked up with the Sork boots, plus Corki having the Trinity Force, very difficult to fight against that. So that's obviously why Dignitas didn't immediately go for that fight, because you have to be aware of those item spikes. But what did they do? Where did they go?
Well, that's the thing is, if Team Dignitas ever have to walk into an area where they're coming into a fight against Denial, Denial will likely win that fight at this point in the game.
Yeah.
If they don't have to try and contest for an engage, try and get a flank set up, then, you know, Denial are going to struggle. And as you said, they win the fight if they get to it. Mm-hmm. That is the big mountain to overcome, because Team Dignitas, they've got the Greg Assault. They've got the Fizz to split push in the other lane, so it's on Denial to actually get their ball rolling in this game. Otherwise, Team Dignitas are going to get into a late game situation where you don't really start to care so much if the engages actually start to come out, because then you're tanky enough to deal with it. You've got the damage on the Victor, the Fizz, the Sivir to actually deal with the enemy team.
Fizz, even as a split pushing pressure in this game, could be pretty difficult to deal with. Eventually, Rumble's not going to be able to 1v1 him in the jungle as well. I mean, like, there's no one really on Denial that you can just pit up against a Fizz. Maybe like Asiopia just to clear out the waves, but even then, like, Fizz jumps onto you, you miss the Petrifying Gaze, then you're pretty much dead.
Yeah, it's a tough one. The Cassiopeia is going to become such a big part of Denial that she can't really afford to be in the 1v1 situation as well. So even if you do send her over there,
you've just lost a large portion of your team
in the rest of the game. So, in theory, if there's no way of Team Dignitas to get onto the rest of the lineup, can work, but certainly wouldn't be my optimal choice for doing it at that point. But I mean, that kind of shows the level at which the decision making has to be on point with Denial. Is they have to put the right people in the right lanes. And right now, there is no right person to go up against Fizz.
Yeah, I mean, they played musical chairs in their lineup, but now they need to do it in the lanes as well. And, I mean, they've shown good decision-making, honestly, so far in this series. Much better than we've seen in previous weeks. This is the sharpest we've seen Denial, and we've seen a lot of cracks showing in Dignitas as well. But they came back very well in Game 2. And again, as you mentioned, Broken Shard now with them. They're all grouped together in their gaming house and boot camping. So that's definitely shown up in this series. And this is also the first time we've really seen these teams in a best-of format as well. So it was a big question of how will these teams react in that type of scenario. Likewise, in the LCS, we're now seeing best-of-5 scenarios. So it's all about how are these teams going to react. And so far, pretty well from both sides.
It's interesting you'd mention these teams in a best-of scenario, because the only other time that we have seen these teams in a best-of scenario was the Esports Festival in Belgium. And that one was one that Denial did win. And they got ahead here today. Now, have Dignitas had enough experience in best of series to, focus? I was going to say focus their resolve, but focus resolve is not exactly linked into this game. But how is their mentality in this game? Because they've already come back with the one win, so theoretically they can do it again. They are ever so slightly down in this game now that dragon has fallen. Now that there was a little bit more farm going over to Denial, it's about 400 gold is the difference.
Yeah, not a whole lot in terms of gold. It's more about those dragons. But even as we saw in the last game, the dragons were not the be end and end all of the game, because they weren't able to come back and win those fights. A lot of that was down to the GP, but also a lot of that was down to good decision making at the very end of the game. So, I mean, honestly, when you get to that late game scenario, when it is literally like a one team fight, 5-0, 4-0, or something around that margin, you are just going to win the game. So yeah, I mean, it's just one mistake, one good play from either team which can do that. In this one, it's going to be a little different because we have a slightly better late game composition from Dignitas. So if you do get drawn into that late game scenario as Denial, it's going to be harder. But they do have that early slight lead from the Dragons. So if they can snowball that, like we saw in Game 1, it could be devastating. But
possible.
Yeah, these are all possibilities. It's all theory crafting.
A lot can still happen in this series, Pulse. One thing that we spoke about earlier was to do with the solo laners in this game. Advantages they normally get, disadvantages that they normally get in Wonderware's case. This game is actually a turnaround for Wonderware when you look at things. Currently paused at the 20-minute mark, 142 CS for his Fizz. going up against Rumble's 111. That's a big CS difference. I'm not going to do the maths on that because it is getting later and my brain is not working properly. But what I can tell you is normally at 20 minutes, as we discussed earlier, normally is down in CS by 10.6. He's up a lot more than 10.6.
Yes, there's a big difference from how
There
we
is a
usually
big
do it,
difference.
but
It's 142 minus 111. 31. I think.
I mean, it sounds
If
right.
it sounds right in my head. Like, then again,
That's
anything
true.
could happen at this point. But
Usually maths is
normally
gonna
we
stay
try not
mostly
to.
the same.
I mean, I took 30 seconds and looked at it, and I was like, I think
I mean,
this
it's
is
not.
right.
Yeah, it's yeah.
So that is a big difference between his
It is.
regular CS difference at 20 and this game's current CS difference at 20. I would have
Yeah.
paid more attention to maths class if I'd have known.
And it's just
this
like
was gonna
basic
happen.
subtraction though. That's not even like
5 minus
algebra
3,
or
like-
calculus. It's just like, oh, this is a difficult one.
Carry the 1. Have to
yeah.
do like Pythagoras
Yeah.
theorems.
Yeah.
Find the hypotenuse of the gold lead.
Advanced mathematics of EUCS.
There would be nothing
Fantastic.
advanced about that.
No,
Nothing,
Well, finding a hypotenuse of a gold lead, like that's not even
Gonna
a
have to
thing.
ask Spelsy on that one.
Yeah.
If we can like graph, like I don't know. No, just
Whatever.
leave it. Maths is not my forte. But there are some other numbers that
Oh,
you know
really?
are fairly important because so we also have like the average game time in wins and losses for teams, and these two are fairly interesting cases because they kind of are mirrors of each other. So average game time in a win for Team Dignitas 40 minutes, 40.12 to be exact, and in losses 32.19. So when they win, it takes them a little while. When they lose, they tend to lose pretty quickly. They only had the 2 losses against Gamers 2, which were very quick. On the other side of it, Denial are pretty much the inverse. They win in 33 minutes. Fairly fast to their wins.
Yeah, it's super fast. It's also interesting it used decimals for time.
Yeah.
When
I know.
they're
it's-
also known as seconds. But the point
but,
still stands.
no, because it's a decimal, so it's like 0.12
Oh,
of 1
dear.
minute, so it's not seconds.
Oh god.
This is why. Don't call me out on the stats math because I didn't do this. This.
Oh,
this,
you're
this
blaming
was
someone
done-
else
No,
now.
no,
Like-
I'm not blaming somebody else. This was done by somebody who knows stats.
Okay.
Spelsy did these for us. He knows
Oh, right.
stats.
So they're wrong.
We
and
don't
then you're
know.
blaming Spelsy.
No, I'm not blaming Spelsy. I'm using this as
Okay. All right.
confirmation. But the key point, both of these games, or at least the second game, was a very long, drawn-out game. And that really just is so uncharacteristic for Denial to get stalled out like that. I guess in the losses, it's more characteristic. 38 minutes is their average loss time. But you can see that when Denial lose, they can drag it out. They can drag things out
Oh yeah.
a lot longer than it should, in theory, take. So, we're on 20 minutes. No team really looks like they're going to grab a lead from this one and look to close out the game. But certainly, the stats don't lie.
Yeah, but the later this game goes on, they still have firepower. They still have the
Right.
Cassiopeia. I mean, Corky, of course, he's not the same kind of late game carrier as like a a Cogmore or like a Vayne, but still he's going to be able to stand up to the Sivir. And even like blow for blow. But there's still problems as we talked about with the composition. So there's not going to be horrible in that sense. And also, this is, as you mentioned in game 1, this is not necessarily the Denial we've seen from week to week. This is definitely a different play style. Definitely the same goal in mind, but a different play style for sure. So
Right.
we don't know if like they're going to be drawn into the late game and that's going to be necessarily their downfall.
Yes, that could be their downfall indeed. But this game, 20 minutes in, hopefully we'll get some information soon.
Yeah, and unfortunately we do have some information. DNL did have to forfeit the match as they had connection issues, which just led to DNL not being able to field an entire team, and therefore they had to forfeit. Cairo was not able to reconnect to the match. So with that, DNL are knocked down to the 3rd place match, and Dignitas advanced to the CS finals. It's not the ending we really wanted, especially after talking for it so long. We really wanted to see the conclusion of that game, but unfortunately you can't play a game 4v5.
Yeah, this is a real tough pill to swallow for Denial, especially considering game 1. We know heading into game 2 they had connection issues. which led to them losing the bans. Ultimately, the bans didn't really affect the game too much, and Game 2 certainly looked a lot stronger from Team Dignitas. This one was a very close game at this point, so very difficult to tell. But unfortunately, that is the current situation.
Yeah.
And Team Dignitas will be moving on to the finals.
Well, what's for certain is DNL, as we even said ourselves, this is the strongest we've seen them so far.
Right.
And if they are peaking at this point, even though they're going into third place, depending on who they face tomorrow, Gamers 2 or Mouse, they can definitely put up a strong fight against them, and there's a very real possibility they can go into the promotion tournament still. It just means that the chances of going and getting the auto promotion into the LCS is now off the table for them, but very real possibility up against some of the LCS teams in the promotion tournament. But still, that's another step that they have to take.
It is another step. And with that win, Team Dignitas do move on to the finals to meet the winner of tomorrow's best of 3. That means Denial fall to the 3rd place game to fight for the last promotion tournament slot.
Yeah, so remember to tune in again tomorrow where Gamers 2 and Mouse Sports will find out in another best of 3. Gamers 2, remember, picked blue for games 1 and 3, and Mouse Sports picked up red for game 2.
Yes, they did. That's going to be an interesting one. I'm looking forward to it.
So if you want to rewatch any of the action from today, log on to lolesports.com. Those first 2 games will be up there.
Yeah, and if you need a reminder of the dates and schedule for the rest of the playoffs, check out the Challenger Series Summer Playoffs primer over at the Articles tab.
Yeah, and make sure you tune into the North American Challenger Series later today, where Renegades and Team Imagine will play out their semi-final, and Freakin' Zyrene will be covering the action at 3 AM CST or 12 PM Pacific time. So that's all from us here today at the Challenger Series. It wasn't the ending that we wanted, but it is what we ultimately got. So from myself, Stress, and the Challenger broadcast team, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Team Dignitas is using the Sivir ultimate to go in. The Alistair, the Rek'Sai.
Wow,
Wonderway is just going to try and trade with people and completely blow them up. He's fine.
Actually, odd timing by Kyrie. The minion wave was cleared out. Senka was going back, and Senka goes to Ward, so this actually might work out. Turns around, gets the shocking orb down onto Kozq, follows up as well with the Death Ray on the ultimate coming in.
But Wonderway knew something was up.
Yeah, but he's already used the playful Trickster. There's the ultimate coming onto Heaver, blocked it away from Wicked there. Wonderware jumping back in, may get the return kill onto Kyrie as the tower shot comes in. Another tower shot onto Wicked. Wonderware with the one-on-one though, up against Wicked. Not a whole lot that a Rumble can do in that scenario. Heaver has found him, however, and will be trying to get the concussive blow stun down as Kozq and Kyrie close in from the sidelines. Preyseeker lands, so does the Noxious Blast. Another Winter's Bite, that should be a dead Wonderware. He'll hop over the wall.